Hello, fourth graders. I'm here with another lesson for you. Today is a little bit different because normally I will have your lesson book on the screen for you to follow along, and I'll do one for each instrument. But since I don't have every instrument here at my house, we're going to do one video and you'll follow along with your book at home. So right now, if you don't have your lesson book, pause the video, go grab your book, and go grab your instrument as well. Okay, so now that we all have our lesson book and our instrument, we're going to open up to what I believe is page 13. My scanned copy has the numbers cut off, but it starts with exercise number 48, slow and fast bows. So open up your book to number 48, like I said, probably on page 13. And it's going to start with number 48, slow and fast bows. Now, the new concept on this page is half notes, the long 2-beat notes that we've been working on actually in string gym. So this isn't really a new concept for us, but it's still a great page to explore some of how it works to play with half notes and quarter notes. So we're going to deal with 3 exercises on this page. So we are going to start with number 48, slow and fast bows. And as you look through the number 48, you'll see that there are some measures that have half notes, the 2-beat notes, where it's a hollow circle, and some measures that have quarter notes, where it's the filled-in circle. So right now, what I'd like you to do to make sure we're all on the same page with number 48, I'd like you to count how many measures have whole notes in them. Remember, a measure, music is broken off into measures with the line, so you're counting how many of those measures contain whole notes. So I'll give you a second to count. And you should have gotten 6. 6 of the measures have whole notes. It's a total of 12 whole notes because there's 2 per measure. Now let's count how many of the measures have just quarter notes in them. And that should have been a little bit faster because there's only 2. So there's 2 measures with just quarter notes. Let's start at the beginning. We're going to read the first 4 notes of the exercise 48. This should be pretty easy for us because they are all open string notes. So I'm looking at 48 and I have a D, another D, A, and another A. So we can actually practice playing that together. Remember, these half notes are a little bit longer. We're going to use nice long bows to get those 2 beats in. It should sound something like this. Let me do it once and then we'll do it together. All right, so get your instrument set. Nice, beautiful bow hold. And we're going to do those 4 notes together, starting on open D. Here we go. Awesome. Now we've gotten to one of those measures with the quarter notes. Now we're lucky because as I'm looking at that 3rd measure, every note is the same pitch. We just have to play 4 of them. And hopefully you'll recognize that that note is B, 1 finger on the A string. So we're going to now add those 4 B's in. Let me play for you once what it'll sound like. So you can hear those quarter notes are a lot faster. Let's play that together. Ready? Here we go. Awesome. All right, let's keep going. We're going to tackle the next 3 measures, which are all half note measures. So after those 4 B's, we're now in the 4th measure. We have an open A and another open A. That should be pretty easy. Pop over to the next measure. See if you can figure out what that note is. And I have to say, for bass, it wouldn't be open A. That's your 1 finger on G. And your B, so it's a little bit different for bass. The A is 1 on the G and the B is 4 on G. That's the one instrument that has this a little bit different. So follow whatever notes are written in your book. Okay? So we played 2 open A's. Now I'm on the 5th measure, and we have 2 G's. G, G. If you're a violin or a viola, that G is 3 fingers on the D string. If you're a cello, that's 4 fingers on the D string, and bass lucks out, that's an open G, right? No fingers for that. So we played A, G, G. Next we have F sharp, okay? 2 fingers for violins and violas, 3 fingers for cello, and 4 fingers for bass. That one's different for everybody. So I'm going to start now at those open A's. So it's measure 4. You can count to measure 4. And I'm going to play, it's 6 half notes in a row. Let's do those together, starting on A. Ready, here we go. G, F sharp. We're almost to the end, but I'd like to back up and do all 6 measures. So from the beginning to there. From the top here, ready, here we go. We have 2 measures left. Now the next measure is another one of those quarter note measures, and it's not quite as easy as the last time we had quarter notes, because you can see that every pitch is different now. If we're going, I'll maybe give you 10 seconds to try to read those on your own. Go ahead. Okay, hopefully you came up with E, F sharp, G, E. Okay, if I play those slowly, it sounds like this. E, F sharp, G, E, whatever fingerings are for your instrument. We've been doing those notes for a long time, so those should be a piece of cake. And then we end the piece with 2 D half notes. So right now I'm going to play the whole thing of exercise 48. If you'd like to play along with me, you can, or you can pause the video, practice through some of those tough parts, and then rewind and do it with me again. So here's all of 48. Ready, and here we go. And remember, if you're a cello or bass, it will sound the same, just lower in a lower octave, but the melody itself should all sound the same regardless of what instrument you play. So now I'm going to look down at number 49. Okay, and number 49 is called Hear My Octave, and in the lessons that we had before we started doing the remote learning, you'll probably remember that we talked about this word octave. An octave is when you have 2 notes that they're actually, the oct in octave means they are 8 notes apart from each other. And you can tell that 2 notes are an octave because they share the same name, the same letter name. So if you look at number 49, in the first measure, we have 2 half notes, and both of those notes are named D. So we know that that's an octave because we go from a low D to a high D. Okay? For everybody, that first note is your open D string. And then depending on what instrument you play, that second note you might play differently. So violins and violas, that's 3 fingers on the A string. Cellos, 4 fingers on the A string. Bass, that's where you have to shift and do that 4 fingers in 3rd position. It should sound like this when you play the octave, the D, low D to the high D. Okay, and you can hear they do sound similar to one another. That's another characteristic of an octave. You should be able to hear that and know it's an octave. So after that first measure, then we have quite a few quarter notes. I'm going to go through and read those quarter notes with you. C sharp, B, B, A, B, B, and then 2 half note A. Okay, open A for everyone except bass. That's that 1 finger. So I just read through the first half, the first 4 measures. I'm going to go through and play those right now. Again, please try to play them along with me, or if you'd like to pause to work on them, that would be a good strategy to use as well. So here are the first 4 measures. Here we go. Awesome. We're going to keep going now on measure 5, and you'll see that now we have an octave in reverse. We have the high D and then the low D, so it should sound like this. Okay, so again, the first time it was low D, high D, and now in the second half it's high D and low D. Okay, so that's measure 5. If we could move on to measure 6, again, we have a lot of quarter notes, and those notes, again, should be a piece of cake because they're D string notes, which we've worked on. E, E, F sharp, G, F sharp, E, E, and then 2 D half notes. So I'm going to start the second half. It's measure 5, okay? And set my fingers down for high D, okay? It doesn't matter what instrument you play. You have to put some number of fingers down for high D. So make sure you're in the right spot, okay? Here's the second half. Here we go. Let me play the whole thing, all of 49. Here's the entire exercise 49, Hear My Octave. By the way, just like we did with the string gym, before I play that first octave, even though I need to play open D first, I set down my fingers for the high D, right? I can have fingers on a different string and then still play my open D and then go to the high D with the fingers down. That's a good strategy that will help you be successful with hitting that octave. Okay, so here's all of 49. Here we go. Awesome. We're going to skip down now to number 52. Number 52 is one of my favorites because this is a variation on Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. A variation means the melody sounds similar, but there's something about it that's a little bit different. And in this case, it's been stretched out. It's been made a little bit longer by using these whole notes and half notes. Okay, you should have 3 lines of music for number 52. And for everyone, the first 2 lines are the same. The third line is different depending on what instrument you play. So we're going to hit the first 2 lines together, and then I'll talk about the third line when we get there. Okay? I'm going to go from the beginning here, and I'm going to read all of the notes for the first line in rhythm. So if it's a long note, I'll hold it for 2 beats. If it's a quarter note, I'll just hold it for 1 beat. And it would be helpful if you read them along with me. So here I go from the top. D, 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 A, B, 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 A, G, 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 F sharp, F sharp, F sharp, E, 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 D, D. So that should have been pretty easy to read along, especially if you were successful in playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. You'll notice it's the same notes, the same pattern of notes, just different rhythm. I'm going to play this for you now. It might be a good thing to listen once and then rewind and try to play it with me. So here's the whole top line. Here we go. So again, if you need to pause, practice through that rewind and play it again until you have it. Keep working at it. You might not get it the first time, but I know all of you can do it with a little bit of practice. Okay, looking at the second line, it starts on an A, open A, or 1 finger A if you're a bass. I'm going to read those, A, G, G, F sharp, F sharp, F sharp, E, A, G, F sharp, F sharp, F sharp, E. Now, I hope you noticed as we were reading that something that makes that easy is that it's the same thing twice. If you were to split this measure in half, you would see two duplicate pieces of music, right? They both go from the A down to E. A, G, F sharp, E. It's also kind of like a backwards D major scale, which should make things a little easier to think about too. So let me play this second line. Okay, sounds like this. Same thing. Okay, so those are the first two lines. Now, I said the third line is different for some people. I believe for violin and viola and possibly bass, I'm not positive on bass, the third line for you is identical to your first line. So we don't need to go over that. We've already gone over it. Bass, you might be in the same camp as cello, so I'm not sure. So when I start explaining the cello thing in a second, if that's you, keep watching. Okay, so violins and violas, you can fast forward a little bit to where you see me have my violin up again. That's when we're going to play through it together. Cellos, and like I said, possibly bass. Let me pull this up, your part. The third line, you have something a little bit different. You have all quarter notes. And it's actually a really cool part. It's something that every year my cellos and basses find to be a challenge. But they're always really proud of themselves once they get it. Let me pull it up here. Did I go too far? Yes, I did. Okay, let's go through and read this. It's really the thing that makes this a challenge is that it's very jumpy. As you can see, the notes kind of go all over the place, right? It's not going in a scalar pattern like if you're playing a D major scale. It's jumping from note to note. So I'm going to go through and read this, and please read it with me. So this is the third line. D, A, D, F sharp, E, G, F sharp, E, D, G, G, D, E, A, E, G, E, G, F sharp, D, A, E, A, D, D. Now, this is one of those things that I wouldn't expect you to get first try. You probably remember in lessons we've used the itty bitty bit strategy. This is a great spot to do itty bitty bits. Master the first measure, then move on to the second measure, then put them together. Then master the third measure and put them together. So what I'm going to do right now is play this for you, but I don't expect you to be able to play it yet. If you can, that's awesome. But I don't want you to get discouraged if you can't. But what I'd like you to do is to be practicing this, and I can guarantee, or would be willing to bet that if you spend the time in the next couple of weeks, you'll find that this is much, much easier than it is now. Okay, so here's what your part sounds like, cellos and basses. This is the cello and bass third line. Sounds like this. Okay, so right now I'm going to go through and play all of 52. I'm going to play the violin and the viola part. Cellos and bass, if you'd like to play along with me, you can, instead of playing that third line, if you don't have that down yet, when you get to there, go back and repeat the top line. Okay, that's exactly what the violins and violas have. But I'd like to see cellos and bass. Some of you practice that and have it down. I'd love to see a video of you doing that. So here is all of number 52, bow division. Okay, remember, we're having a nice, beautiful bow hold. We're doing the long and the shorts. We're right on our fingertips. Okay, making sure our fingers are in the right spot. Ready, here we go. So those are 3 great exercises to focus on this week. Like I said, if you're watching this through the Google Classroom, you can actually submit a video of you playing one of these so that I can see it and give you a little bit of feedback. I would love to see that from some of you. So thanks for watching, and keep up the good work with your practicing.